back once again, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's installment of Wrathful Reviews. My name is Blake Garrison, and today we'll be looking at the newest fighting game from Arc System Works known as Blazblue Cross-Tag Battle. I've really grown to appreciate these developers through the past year through their truly outstanding fighting games, and I was really hoping this new one could stand out and join the ranks of some of the best fighters. It started out quite well already, being confirmed for the EVO main lineup months before its release. So, hey, if it's good enough to make the most prestigious fighting game tournament, then it must be worth checking out. And as always, as you can see on my sideboard here, you can skip to whichever section you'd like to hear about. So, without further ado, let's take a look. The story is similar to that of many fighting games, and by that I mean, it's extremely slow and boring. You have different chapters for each of the four groups, Blazblue, Persona, Under Night In-Birth, and Ruby, that are all given slightly different goals to execute. These tasks by an extremely cringy female voice who brought each of these four worlds together into an artificial world. Some are to protect a keystone given to them, and others are meant to collect the keystones, all in a tag battle format. It's a simple premise, and it never really gets more complicated. From there, the story is very linear and predictable, and to be honest, way too long. After the first chapter, you really see all you need. Going back and completing the other chapters doesn't really add anything, unless you're hoping to learn a bit about the characters. I mean, each time it's basically, we have to protect the keystone. Oh no, a challenger approaches, we must fight. Alright, we won, let's move on. Oh no, another challenger, we must fight. Alright, we won! And so on. It doesn't help that the fights in between the still image cutscenes are not the most strategic things in the world. I understand they have to make it pretty easy for a casual player, but you could probably beat 90% of the game standing still and spamming the light attack. Blazblue Cross-Tag Battle is a 2 vs 2 character fighting game, where like most, the goal is to simply outplay your opponent and lower their health to 0. And I mean, this is nothing revolutionary, but it just works so well. However, what is unique to this title is the large fan service roster and the tag gameplay. Characters in this game are built pretty simple. They have their basic auto combos and special moves, but much of how you fight comes from your team synergy. I feel this goes a bit beyond something like Dragon Ball FighterZ in terms of character assistance. In that game, all your characters had were assists. However, in Blazblue, through several unique mechanics, manages to incorporate them so much more. Each character has 3 assists, an ability to attack with your main character, and almost instantaneous switching of lead characters, creating some truly unique gameplay when compared to the average fighter. Like many fighters, you have the option to switch your controls to whatever you please. However, the base controls are actually pretty good. You have a button for a light attack, medium attack, and a clash attack, which takes the place of the conventional heavy attack. The lights and mediums are fairly standard, but the clash itself is used mainly for mix-ups. The neutral clash pulls up a different screen where both characters attack the opponent, probably making it the most overkill attack with one button in gaming. But of course, it wouldn't be a fighting game without the special moves and supers, and believe me, there are plenty of them. Most characters have 2 specials which they can change the effects of with a button press, as well as 2 supers which are performed almost identically with each character. Which is kind of nice. I like how these newer fighting games are trying to be more appealing to casual players without taking away the competition. Each character also has 3 assists that you can call upon to help your frontline character. I really appreciate the decision to do this. It's never really a bad thing to have more options in a fighting game, and having 3 assists instead of 1 was a good way to do that. I feel it would just make the combos and pressure more creative. Another smart addition I thought was the inclusion of astral finishers. These are essentially extremely situational instant kills activated by having full team synergy, a single opponent remaining, and activating a mode called Resonance Blaze, which quite literally makes you blaze blue, which is done with the assist button. Super moves are always a fun plus with games such as this, and I think it's fantastic that these are so rare to see. The few times you do hit it, it'll make it all the more special. Blazblue uses 2D sprites and animations for battle, flowing really well with whatever action you make. I personally love the anime art style and over-the-top ways it portrays combat. However, due to the fact that they are 2D sprites, it never really gets to the level of something like Guilty Gear, where it can have extremely flashy cutscenes. Within the limits of the graphical capabilities, I feel the screens can still look very well put together. Even though I enjoy how it looks, I am slightly annoyed by the pixelization of characters when they are standing still. When they do get moving, it looks fine, but it was slightly distracting for me. It would honestly be kind of disappointing if an anime fighter had a poor soundtrack. Luckily, that is not the case here. I'm happy to say Blazblue has some fantastic tunes to battle to, with a good range if I do say so myself. As a fan of Persona 4, I was happy to see several familiar songs. Anything in that game getting carried over is a plus in my book. I've also enjoyed the songs from Ruby. Honestly, as someone who hasn't seen much of the show, I will always remember that catchy opening theme. As for the rest, I didn't know much about them, but after sitting down and really listening, I'm certainly glad I do now. I love the posh sound of Rachel's theme. I had it in my head the entire day after, but that wasn't the only one. Many of the remaining tracks were extremely well-composed pieces of work that I would have no problem playing at any time. Blazblue Cross-Tag Battle was pretty much what I was hoping for. An extremely epic, over-the-top anime fighter with a great roster of characters, some of which I knew and some of which I'm glad to know now. It has some really solid gameplay that I would expect from these developers, utilizing some new mechanics I've never seen and helping to protect the old ones I have. It's a classic example of easy to pick up, hard to master, making it a good choice for any gamer, casual or hardcore, who just wants to dish it out with some friends. With that, I can easily give it a solid 8 out of 10. It has so much going for it. If the extremely boring story just had a bit more depth to it, then I could rate it higher. But for what we get, it is a pretty solid product. But with EVO 2018 right around the corner, it seems Arc System Works really owns it this year, with 3 main games in the lineup. So, let's sit back and see what this game brings to the largest yearly fighting game tournament. My name is Blake Garrison, and I'll see you next time!